All right. Hey, it's Carrie and Rachel. And Rachel's cat's tail.
My cat's tail, yeah.
um, it's been a while since we've done one of these, and we were just talking before we hit record and realizing we want to talk about what we're excited about and how, we're recording this, we're right in the middle of our 5 days of focus. And just where our focus is going, I'm finding momentum in some interesting places. And we were just like in the middle of talking about, I'm excited about this, I'm excited about that. And then I'm like, wait, we need to hit record. So, hey, Rachel, do you want to continue telling me, fill everyone in on the things you were just saying you're excited about?
Yeah, so it's funny that we have some intuitive art news, and we just made this class book so that students who are like getting a live class can like follow along, and it's easy for the teacher to have like an outline and a prompt for what to say in the class. And then I debuted it in our Facebook group, and a bunch of people wanted to translate it into their own language because we have people all over the world. And so all of a sudden now it's going to be in 4 languages, which is so cool. And we were just saying how, it's a win-win for everyone, but it's like the generosity of people and how they're excited about what we're doing. And I love making this. It's just like a big love fest, and that's exciting.
But also, you and I have spent a lot of time feeling into, right, focusing our energy on this idea that intuitive art is spreading across the planet,
Yeah.
right? Like we have focused there. And then, meanwhile, going about our days and you creating this workbook because it's going to be helpful to our teachers, it's helpful to our students. And then, boom, we have people in other parts of the world saying, hey, can I translate this for you? I'd like to use it in my language. And how's that for intuitive art spreading across the planet?
I know. I love it. It's so great. It's just so funny. I emailed my typesetter last week to see if he could set it in other languages, even if he didn't know the language. And he said yes. And so it's almost like we pre-paved this whole thing. So I love how momentum works. I love how pre-paving works. And if you just keep a positive vibration, even if it's about another topic, it allows so much to fill in.
Yes. And it's not almost like we pre-paved this. We totally pre-paved this.
Yeah, we did.
Right? Like we have been focusing on that and imagining that and seeing intuitive art. At least the way I've been imagining it is seeing it like ripple around the globe. And so it's so fun to now be experiencing the stages of that ripple.
Definitely. Yeah, I love it.
Right? It started with you being excited, like people in different countries have bought my book, right? It wasn't even like we had certified intuitive artists. It was just people in other countries were buying your book. And then it was certified intuitive artists from all over the globe. And now those certified intuitive artists are building their own businesses and creating materials in their language. And that is so cool.
It's very cool. And you know what's funny about all this stuff? So as my company grows and I bring in more people like Carrie and Chantal and Laura, and the revenue grows, when you're looking ahead about that, you're thinking it's going to be great because the money will grow. And you're kind of, at least for me, I don't necessarily feel how it's going to feel when I just think about the company growing. But when I'm here, it really just feels about like appreciation. It's just like, wow, this is really cool. I feel love in my body right now. And I think that's a good thing to note, especially since you really nailed it, Carrie, when we were doing our focus drawing and you said, what is the benefit of me? What was it? What is the benefit of focusing on the feeling of what I want? Because that's really what you are in it for. And I know we know this. We know we only want things because we think we'll feel better, which is true. But I'm just finding it so remarkable that as the things that I want to do come true, it just grows my heart. It's yes, everything else is great, but it's the feeling. It's so true. It's the feeling that it's really about.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you were in the middle. So that we talked about that before we went live, and then you were in the middle of telling me some other cool stuff, non-intuitive art related, that is happening. So you want to share that?
Yeah. So I've probably mentioned this a million times because I'm very excited about it. But I've been working on a TV show for a couple years now, and I had an outline. I had writers lined up to help me, but I really decided that I wanted to be a part of the writing and I wanted to write the pilot. But I've never done that before, and so I signed up for a university course this month actually, and I already have the first third of it fully fleshed out, and we read that last night in class. So I got to hear all the parts read and like the whole story, and I got feedback, and it was just so magical that I don't know. It's like every little step you take on a dream or a desire that you have, it feels amazing and it fuels your next part of it. And so now I'm just so excited to finish it up and bring it back in and and hear it all over again.
And in that same vein, you were just showing me a past that you.
This is my Sundance credential. Yeah, so I'm heading up there after this conversation. I'm attending a screening and then probably going to the Filmmaker Lodge for a talk or see whatever is going on. Tomorrow is a really exciting day because I'm seeing some independent shows that are being screened, and that's really what like I see my future as being in the industry, like working on shows. Um, and then I get to go to an event where a showrunner is like working with all of us attending to actually write a show. So we're gonna have participate in writing a fictional show. So that's gonna be really fun.
So what's a showrunner?
The showrunner is the person in charge of making sure like all the script and stuff comes together. So there's usually a room full of writers, and there's the head writer, which is usually the showrunner. And people will pitch ideas and they'll come up with the outline together, but then one person will usually take the episode home and write it. A lot of times that's the showrunner, but sometimes it's someone else, and they're just kind of like the manager in charge of making sure it gets done.
This is really interesting to me, and I think it's an important thing to talk about because and I have some things that are happening that I want to share, but like we so often are talking to people, at least I so often am talking to entrepreneurs, right? Business owners. But we talk a lot about what's going on in our businesses. And it's, I think, important to know, right? That, well, one, you have sort of your business is very multifaceted. What did I hear? I heard someone call it wasn't a multipreneur, it was like a multi-passionate entrepreneur. There was like a title for that, which at least when I first got started in my business, that was like super discouraged. But
Hmm.
the bigger picture is that we're whole people, right? Like there is more to us, and I'm going to say just our business in quotes, right? But like um intuitive art and building that and growing that has been a huge part of your life, a huge part of your passion for a really long time, but it's not all you're about.
Yeah. Hmm.
And if I think it's sort of important to note, right, if all of your focus was there all of the time, you would probably feel drained and depleted. Um, or at least if all of your focus was in the building of the business all of the time. And so I love hearing about like, especially from you, like the Sundance Film Festival. At first, you were just like geeking out on the idea of going,
Yeah.
right? Like I've watched it evolve from like, that's a dream of mine. I just want to go and be there to like, oh my goodness, I'm there and I'm surrounded by people who are doing it and they're no different than me to like, hey, I'm writing a show and I'm there.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Absolutely. When I moved to Utah, a year and a half ago, I didn't even know the public could go. I didn't realize it was here, and so yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And I think it also shows that when you want to do something, the way to do it will come to you. You know, like you don't have to know everything. I didn't know how to write a show or meet people who do that when I started this project, but they found me, you know, and I do have contacts now who are just super friendly and wonderful and helpful and are giving me tips on what I need to pitch it. And um, it's everything's really coming together and it's moving forward because of my excitement. Like I'm enjoying the process, I am doing it the way that feels good to me, and therefore it's moving forward. So that's true for everybody, whatever you want to do. But now I want to hear about what's exciting to you.
Yeah. So I can actually credit the 5 days of focus to kind of a big shift, which is at the time we're recording, we're only on day three. um, and I wish I could remember like the moment that it happened, but things are just kind of evolving. But a big part of my story and a big part of myself that I was denying for a really long time is the other side of my coaching. So I coach people in a couple different capacities, right? I coach people inside the Intuitive Art Academy. There's another company that I coach inside of that. So those people are amazing humans. They're network marketers who are up to such good stuff in the world. And I love like coaching in both of those capacities because I think naturally who I am is a coach, right? I encourage, inspire, uplift. I can't help but share. And somehow that helps other people. But the part of me that I wasn't, I'm trying to think okay, I think it actually happened, Rachel, when we were recording the 5 days of focus. That's when it started. And it started with the day that today we're recording it. It's day 4. I'm not making any sense, but day 4 of 5 days of focus is worthiness. And I have been leaning more and more into that in like lots of areas in my life, and particularly inside of my business and how much I charge and all of that. But where I wasn't letting myself like feel worthy or qualified or enough was in this other big dream that I have, and that is around coaching cross country and track. So that has been like my hobby for the past year. But first, I should note, okay, I'm going to explain this because I feel like people don't know this part of
Yeah.
my. So I came out of college. I was a NCAA Division I runner. I graduated college. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew that I couldn't not have practice in my life. So I graduated college. I was looking for jobs. I honestly, I was a Spanish major and an English minor. So I just was told sort of my whole life, like, you'll get paid more if you're bilingual. So I'm like, sweet, I'll be bilingual. But then I didn't even know really what I wanted to do. But I knew I needed to go to practice. So I initially saw that there was a head coaching position, not at the high school that I went to, but at another high school across town. And I almost applied for that. And I just felt not qualified, right? I felt like I don't know if I'm ready to be a head coach. And so my boyfriend at the time was like, you should be an assistant for the high school that I went to. I'll talk to the coach. So he's like, sure, I'd love to have you. So he only coached boys. So I show up as this like 22-year-old girl. It's a private Catholic school, and I'm helping coach the boys. And the coach at the time was like, I'm so excited you're here. I'd love to have your help, but I can't pay you. And I was like, that's cool. I don't care. That was such an important moment in my life because I would have made so many mistakes had I just jumped into being a head coach. But under his tutelage, right, I already knew a lot about being on a winning team and like creating a culture of success. Like that was sort of innate in me, but I didn't know a lot about like the nuts and bolts of running a cross country team and writing workouts and that sort of stuff. So I learned a ton under this guy. And that was a great compliment to him, to his personality. And his strengths were different than mine. And so I was a great compliment. And even though I was young, I was like a nurturing, sort of mothering force on that team. But after a couple years, I left and I went to another high school where I was the head girls coach. And at that point, I felt much more like, okay, I know what I'm doing now, right? I know all the things. And my husband, he wasn't my husband yet, but he was the boys coach. And so there we learned how to coach together and separately at the same time, right? Like he was the boys coach and I was the girls coach, and we each had autonomy, and yet we were better together, right? So in the years that I went back to my alma mater to coach there. So in the years that I was there, like I really found like, oh, I don't have to do everything, right? Like he's good at this and I'm good at that. And together we are doing great things. And I don't think I ever really understood just how good of a coach I was, because I got this team that was kind of in disarray, and I brought my genius to that team, and my husband had his genius, and his genius lies much more in like creating structure and systems. And I allowed him to like happily bring that while I brought all the magic. And in a matter of, this is the part I didn't realize was so exceptional because I was in it. But in a matter of 6 years, I took an individual to the state meet. I think my first or second year, but by my fifth, I think my fifth and sixth year, I was taking teams to the California state meet, which is a big deal. It's actually really hard to do, but I didn't know any different. So, and then I had my children, and my first child actually went to the state meet with us. But so my life just sort of took a different path, and I stopped coaching high school and like just sort of hung that up. But I always wanted to write a book. I always wanted to help other coaches to know what I knew, right? And especially male coaches of female athletes. Like I recognized, and in the years that I was doing it, there's so many male coaches of female cross country teams. And my husband and I wound up being involved in the sport at the national level. And so I had the opportunity to, like be around the best coaches and the best teams in the country. And it was so interesting to me what they didn't know or what they didn't do that was so obvious to me. So long story short, right? It's been, I don't know how many years since I've been away from the sport. And I still want to write this book. I still feel like I have something to say and it's of value. But like, who am I, right? Who am I to write this book? I'm some lady who coached for not that many years. I think a total of 8 or 10 years. I had some degree of success, but we were never national champions, right? We just went to the state meet twice. And I just like felt like, who am I to write that book? So my daughter starts running cross country in high school, and initially, and I like want to help. And I wanted to help because I saw all the same things that I'd been seeing. Like, why aren't they doing this? How come they don't know that? And I recognized over this past year, with your help, Rachel, it's because this is who I am, right? This is part of me. And so what I thought would be impossible, my husband and I helping out with my daughter's cross country team, has totally come to pass this year. Like we're highly involved in the team and seen as coaches, and like it's really, really cool that that's happened. But I've still had that feeling of like, well, who am I? I'm just a volunteer assistant at a local high school, right? And as we stepped into worthiness, and meanwhile, this book is wanting to be written. Like chapter titles are coming in, like I know what I would say. And I see myself on a bigger stage in the sport. I know I have something of value to say. I've hosted a clinic once, and it was coaches and athletes, and it was like the easiest thing I ever did. And people there were like, why is no one teaching this, right? So I know it's valuable, but I have had the hardest time stepping into worthiness. So long story long, thank you for bearing with me. This week I finally am like, I am writing this book, and I have words on the page, and there's a group of a Facebook group of cross country coaches that I'm a part of. And I asked like a provocative, I told them that I'm writing my second running book. So I did write a running book called Run Yourself Happy, but this is like specifically for coaching high school girls. And ask a question, and I'm getting responses, and all it is stepping into the worthiness. And I wrote, like, yesterday I was going through a visualization, and I wrote, if not now, when? If not me, who? Like, why the hell not me? So that's my big thing that I'm excited about, is like, I've been saying that for a long time, finally stepping into it. And I'm sure I'm going to say it more and more and more, but it's like, it's that momentum building, right? A year ago, it was like an impossible dream. And now it's becoming more and more tangible. And in a few weeks or months or whenever, right, it will be inevitable. That is the power of focus.
I love, 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 love it. Yeah, it's like we're on the same journey, and I think everyone is. It's just, okay, you want to do, letting yourself have the desire to do it is a big step, right? Actually receiving that and letting that stay in your mind before you swat it away, but then letting it happen, letting it come to you. Yeah. And, the last thing you said about then it will be inevitable, I think I like to look at it a little differently. Like the fact that I'm here and I'm flesh and I'm, energy is like, that means everything's inevitable. Everything is done. It's really just a choice. Like, do I want to do it? Am I going to let myself do it? That's it, you know?
Well, I think it is inevitable, right? Because once I let myself desire it, it is inevitable.
Yeah.
But it's like that, what Abraham says, right? It doesn't manifest until it feels like the next logical step.
Yeah.
And I can feel like the difference between a year ago. The dream is still the same. So it's interesting because when we're talking about desire, right? When we were talking about that on the video we made for 5 Days of Focus, both of us said desire gets a bad rap, right? Because oftentimes we associate desire with like an unfulfilled longing. But when you allow yourself to just feel your desire, right? To just feel into I'm going to use the word wanting again, but it's more about the having of what you want, right? Feel into like, what could that be like? And just like you said, sometimes we don't know because what we want feels so far away. We actually don't know what the feeling is, but we can feel the appreciation, right? We can just sink into whatever our best feeling is. Now I forgot where I was going with that.
That's right. You made me think of something that I didn't say in the desire video, but I think desire is recognizing your truth. Like you're saying, if you have the desire, it's inevitable. So when you feel the desire for something, you're feeling your own truth. Like you already have that. It's already yours.
Yes, I saw. I like to say this a different way, but I saw a speech from someone a while ago saying, if you have the desire, that is from God, right? That is God saying yes. Like that's you. So what I would say is, right, when you feel the sparks, right? When you feel that it's this, my friend Molly Mahoney does this to like describe, this is her physical depiction of the best feeling.
Right.
Um, when you feel this, that is your body saying, yes, yes, this is what we're made of.
Mhm.
And that is what I love about allowing myself to feel the desire, right? Is no matter what my brain is saying, all the reasons why I'm too small or not good enough, or who am I to think that, or I can go ahead and let my brain just start putting obstacles in my path, right? Like I'm already thinking of all the ways why it can't happen instead of all the magical ways why it could. But as long as I remember that, like, that feeling is my body resonating with the truth, right? Resonating, that's my connection with source energy saying, yes, yes, that's what you're made of. That's why you're here.
I love it.
Yeah.
I don't know where else we could go from here. Maybe we wrap it up because, I'm sure between both of our stories, you listening and watching, you have your own. And I can feel inspired by what Carrie said and just those revelations. And um, now's a really good time to just like go about your day and see if you can live in that place for a little while, get the momentum going, and revisit this feeling as often as you can so that you are feeling called forward to whatever it is that you have a desire for. Because that's what really makes life fun. When we're feeling like we're going somewhere or something will be revealed to us, that just makes getting up in the morning just so much easier.
Well, I want to say two things before we go. So, one, Rachel and I have an amazing friend. Her name is Dawn Andrews, who told us that desire, right, actually means to sire, like to create. And so I love that, knowing that like just our desire creates. That's so powerful. Like just our desire. So if that's kind of as far like then we notice what we notice, right? Then I notice the opportunities that show up or the what I feel inspired to do, right? Just our desire creates. That's number one. Number two, if you want support, we have a membership.
Yes.
And if you need, so, I was talking about how I am as a coach, right? And the thing that I really need in as a complement to the way I do things is structure. And as out there and airy fairy and as permissive as you are with yourself and your energy, Rachel, you're freaking amazeballs at creating structures. And we've done some things with the fully expressed membership to create. I believe that structure actually, like, you can't have freedom without a little bit of structure. So you've done some things with the fully expressed mastermind to create the structure for us to be free and living this way. I don't know if you want to talk about it or send people where they can go to learn more about it, but yeah, I feel like if you're inspired by this and you want to live this way, right, where you're finding success in your business and you're letting your desires grow and you have a place where you can notice and build momentum, not just toward what you want now, right? Because we can do that. But also, like those dreams you barely let yourself imagine, you need to join us in there.
Definitely. Yeah. So you can learn more at intuitiveart.com/membership. It'll tell you the details of the structure we've created for you, but also give you more of an overview of like what you can expect to have happen to your life if you plug in that way. Because the thing that constantly amazes me is, I've always wanted to be a writer. I've always wanted to have my own business. Like I've known that since I was little. Um, and I've always done intuitive art. But if you were to ask me like every 5 years or even every 1 year, what do you think you're going to be doing in a year, Rachel? I mean, I probably would have said pretty close to what I was doing then because it's really hard to imagine your bigger self, your bigger life, your bigger success, and to really do that with confidence. But then when you get there, if you have the vibrational capacity to allow that, and then you start living it, and then it feels normal, and then you're expecting more and more, it you really there's like no way to prepare for it. Like you can't know how good it's going to feel until you're there. And so every year that I live, I'm constantly amazed. Like, this is amazing. Like, life keeps getting better and better. And I just keep expanding and getting happier and having more love and more friendship and more money and more freedom and more creativity. And it, that's like the thrill of life, is just letting ourselves grow our capacity to receive. And I find that I do that through these little daily practices and through meeting with people who are on the same wavelength and going for the same thing. I have to immerse myself in that environment in order to allow it to keep rolling. So that was like the inspiration behind what we put together. And I'm excited to plug into it too. It's not just for, we're not just like handing it off to you guys. Like we're taking advantage of this completely because it's what helps us live this way. So yeah, intuitiveart.com/membership. Check it out. Sign up. We're really excited to have you. And yeah, I really hope you guys enjoy the rest of 5 days of focus. If you haven't signed up yet, you can still do that. Just go to intuitiveart.com/focus.
And we just recorded this whole video, and I just noticed that my name says Carla Silver. So Carrie rolled on here. I signed in under my friend's account. Rachel, I just want to say yes to everything that you said. And I'm so grateful that you have created this membership, because I recognized really early on, right? That's why I'm here with you now. But I recognized really early on um, that there's lots of trainings. There's lots of like other places I can go, other memberships, right? But they tend to be informational and like business focused. And I recognized that while information and business focus is super important, what I needed for my business to grow, for my dreams to come true, for things beyond my business to grow, right? My cross country coaching, my writing of that book, like that's a dream that I have that isn't directly connected to my business. But what I recognized was that that was where I needed the support, right? And that's actually ironically like that's what I bring to the cross country athletes too, is like it's not about the workouts, right? And it's the same thing here with all of us. Like we can sense that we're wanting something deeper, right? We can sense that there's um there's something much more poignant to who we are and how we're creating than just like learning nuts and bolts. As I'm saying this, Rachel, you're like lighting up on my screen.
I know I can feel it. I can't. Yeah, that is incredible here.
Yeah. Um, and that is what, because I've been a part of other memberships that you've had, but that's why I'm so excited about this Fully Expressed membership, is because I feel like each membership that you've created, you've learned something, and that the focus here and now is totally on that deeper level, which is actually where everything is created from anyway. So that's why I'm excited about it. Look at you glow.
Glowing, the doorbell ring. We're getting all these signs from God. Yes, yes, yes. It's amazing.
Uh, so on that note, I think I'm done. Carla Silver out, but
Awesome. Well, yeah, speechless as always after an awesome conversation. So thank you. Thank you guys for watching. We are going to do more of these conversations. So stay tuned. All right. Super love, everybody. And we'll see you soon.
adios.
Bye.